Well, I just flew in from Amsterdam, and boy, are my arms tired. Now, crazy travels yesterday back home to the United States. My flight from Atlanta to Orlando included two interesting animal encounters. Also, Carnival's got a problem with some things that people are doing on their balcony, and I got a pile of cruise news. Cruise news and my views. Let's talk about it. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to La Lido Loca. I'm your host, Tony, here with the latest cruise news and views for your face for May the 1st, 2023. It's gonna be May. That's right, May the 1st. We got Star Wars Day coming up in just a few days for all of you Star Wars geeks out there. What is it? April showers bring May flowers. All the cliches are clicking today. Let's talk about some cruise news. Cruise news story number one, Norwegian Cruise Line Holdings celebrating today as they have exceeded some of their estimated earnings numbers for Q1 2023. In its latest earnings report, Norwegian Cruise Lines Holdings has revealed that it earned $1.8 billion in revenue in Q1 2023. Comparatively to Q1 of 2022, they only did $521 million during the same time period. And so the company outperformed its earnings expectation. It also outperformed its loss expectation, losing $159 million. However, this was much better than the previous quarter where they lost over $421 million. The ramifications of this earning report are already being shown in the stock market as Norwegian Cruise Line Holdings stocks are up today. A cruise news story number two, konnichiwa, domo arigato. MSC is committed to sailing from Japan year-round. 365 days, baby. MSC is dedicating its cruise ship, the MSC Bellissima, to year-round sailings in Japan. With this year-round commitment, MSC will now be the largest cruise provider in that country. While this adventure starts with the Bellissima being home ported in Yokohama, it will not be the only Japanese home port for the cruise ship. As we move into 2024, in January, the Bellissima will move over to Naha and Okinawa as its home port, being there between January and March of 2024 to offer Japanese cruisers even more exotic itineraries. Like I've said before, MSC is not playing around. They continue to make moves around the globe to position themselves as a major player in the cruise business. It's almost like they're playing the game of Risk. They just turned in their 3 cannon cards, got a pile of armies, and dropped them all right there in Japan. One of the most frequent questions I've gotten over the last few days is, did I get my painting home from the cruise ship? I tell you what, there was a couple days there where I didn't think I was going to get my painting home. I was just going to leave it there on the cruise ship. However, when I was in Amsterdam, I decided to buy a second suitcase. I'd gathered enough souvenirs. Here's a quick look at the magnets and the mug haul from my trip. I usually just collect magnets and mugs, but I had this painting that I had to get home. And yes, the painting made it home. Now, why is the painting not displayed here? Well, the lovely Jenny B likes my painting, which made me feel very proud, and she wanted it on a wall where she could see it from where she works during the day. And so the painting is hanging here in our house. Very cool. But thanks for everybody asking about the painting. I definitely will paint again. I will paint again. I will paint again. And a fun fact, I did go to the Van Gogh Museum in Amsterdam, and I went on the guided audio tour. And what was really bizarre, but maybe apropos, is for the audio tour, they had headphones that just had one pad, just one ear. It was like a mono thing. I don't know why. It was bizarre. I'm just kidding. The thing was sold out. I didn't get to go to the Van Gogh Museum, which I would have liked to, but some said my picture favored Van Gogh, which the style was Van Gogh for the paint by numbers. But I just wanted to make a Van Gogh joke. What? Huh? Okay, back to the cruise news. Cruise news story number 3. Let's talk about Oceana. Oceana is owned by Norwegian Cruise Line Holdings. They have just taken ownership of their newest cruise ship, the Oceana Vista. Oceana Vista is the first ship in the Oceania Cruises Allure class. It was delivered to Oceania from the Fincantieri shipyard in Genoa, Italy. Of course, the design of this cruise ship was overseen by outgoing CEO of Norwegian Cruise Line and president of Oceania Cruises, Frank Del Rio. This is going to be one of the last hurrahs for Frank. He's very excited about this cruise ship. The christening for this cruise ship will happen a few days from now on May the 8th. And the godmother for this cruise ship, Giada De La Renta, TV chef extraordinaire. She will be the godmother. Vista will kick off her inaugural season doing sailings from the Med. Then she will move over and do cruises from Canada and the New England area, eventually moving south for cruises in the Caribbean, South America, and Mexico. Personally, I kind of feel like when I step up to one of these next level cruise lines, I feel like Oceana seems like the right way for me to go. I'm a big fan of what Norwegian's doing with the Prima and the Viva. So it seems like that Oceana might be the next one to try. I don't know if I'll get to try that this year. Have you been on Oceana? Is it worth the extra coin? Leave a comment below. Now, I know I teased it on the thumbnail. I want to talk to you quickly about jerky cruise passengers disobeying the captain. And I want to tie it into another cruise news story coming out over the weekend from California, a story about the Coast Guard rescuing passengers from 3 different cruise ships off the coast of California. The incidents included 4 women, a 47-year-old woman on the Carnival Panorama. We have a 74-year-old woman and a 77-year-old woman who were airlifted off of the Majestic Princess, and then an 84-year-old woman who was taken from the Carnival Spirit. Now, I don't think that anybody that's a cruiser, that's been around cruising for any period of time, I don't think these stories would be a shock, that there are people that fall ill on cruise ships and that they have to either be taken by the cruise ship to a port of call or they have to be retrieved by a medical helicopter. But what is interesting to me is how sometimes these medical evacuation experiences on cruise ships become almost circus-like. So in addition to these evacuations that happened over the weekend on these cruise ships near California, we also had a medical evacuation on the last couple days of our cruise on the MS Rotterdam. The event happened after our last port of call, where we had stopped at South Queens Ferry and made our way to Edinburgh. We had left that area and we'd been underway for a couple of hours when the captain came over the PA system and said that we had a medical emergency that was so severe that a passenger would have to be medevaced off of the cruise ship. It would require us to turn around and sail back towards Scotland away from Amsterdam so that the Coast Guard from that area could come do the medical evacuation. And during that announcement, the captain said a couple things. First, he said they would be closing off the aft of the cruise ship where the helicopter evacuation would take place. And he said also that he would like for people not to try to photograph, to use their cameras when this event happened. He mentioned there was a concern about flash photography, that it could be a challenge to the people that are flying the helicopter. Around the time of the medical evacuation was when I was having my dinner in the buffet. I'm a little bit of a creature of habit. I found the place that I like to sit in the buffet, and I sat there every time that I ate there. Well, that location happened to be a location from which people had a very good view of the helicopter flying in to do the medical evacuation. And as I was consuming my dinner, I was witness to a full row of people, nose pressed up against the window. Not only their nose pressed up against the window, but like cameras out. Filming, I'm assuming, filming the medical evacuation. And, maybe saying these people were jerky and disobedient may be a bridge too far, because the captain didn't specifically say don't film the medical evacuation. He said don't, do photography because of the flash. But I don't know, man. I feel like the sentiment was like, please don't make a spectacle out of this medical evacuation. I assume for 2 reasons. First, for the privacy of the people that are being medically evacuated. And then secondly, because it's not really a great look, when you have, you see these helicopters flying in. Here's my philosophy on it. If somebody says don't film, don't take photographs, I don't film and I don't take photographs. I do my best to adhere to those rules. If signs are posted and I see the sign, I follow the sign. If an announcement's made before a show, something like that, I won't film. But like I said, to be fair, the captain didn't specifically say don't film. So were these folks in the right? Were these folks in the wrong? Leave a comment below. All right, now let's talk about an interesting request from Carnival when it comes to their passengers doing odd things on the balcony. And the odd thing that I'm talking about on the balcony is hanging out your laundry to dry, as evidenced in this picture here. This picture was posted on the Facebook page of brand ambassador John Heald, simply with a request that passengers do not do this. John cited two main reasons for not doing this. Number one, it is dangerous. People could run into that clothesline and have trouble there on the balcony. And number two, well, it's just not aesthetically pleasing. Carnival doesn't want to be rolling into Nassau, Bahamas with 6 or 7 other cruise ships and having the whole I got a clothesline hanging up on my balcony look. Probably not great for the reputation. And look, I'm sure the passenger whose balcony this is a picture of was just trying to solve a simple problem. They got their clothes wet. They needed to wash a shirt. They needed to dry off. And this is why they hung a line. Just a reminder that on most Carnival cruise ships, there is a clothesline in the shower that you can draw and hang your clothes on. We could have the debate, are the clothes going to dry better on the, with the airflow of the balcony, or hanging, enclosed in the bathroom? They probably dry better on the balcony. But Carnival doesn't want you to do that. So if you're a Carnival cruiser out there, don't take a clothesline as part of your packing list. Now, I got to tell you about my animal encounters on my air flights home yesterday. But before I do that, let me quickly invite you to subscribe. If you like staying up to date with everything going on in cruising, please consider subscribing with the notification bell on. That way you don't miss out on any of these episodes. It doesn't cost anything. It allows you to be notified when the show comes out, and it helps me out. So if you'd like to help the big man out, please consider subscribing. Thank you in advance. All right, here's the deal. I got up at 4:15 yesterday morning. I walked the short walk from my hotel over to the Schiphol Airport, International Airport in Amsterdam, and I got on my aeroplane, and I traveled for about 20 hours. By the time I got home, it was a long day, let me just say that. But it went pretty much uneventful. I didn't have a hard time at the Amsterdam airport, where I heard that people did. Of course, I was there very early. I went through security like at 5:15 for my 8:35 flight. But then it got interesting when I got to Atlanta. I flew from Amsterdam to Atlanta, and then my second leg was from Atlanta to Orlando. While I was waiting to board the plane in Atlanta, there was a woman who came to the counter with what I would assume is an emotional support dog that was on the plane with her. I don't think it was a service animal. It wasn't wearing a vest or anything, but she had a full standard poodle with her. And she got on the plane. I don't know where she sat on the plane, but I assume that she had a seat for herself and that the full standard poodle had a seat, because this was a big dog. The dog was like half the size of a woman. I've never seen a dog that big board an airplane. I've never seen a dog at all board an airplane, not in a crate. But yes, that was interesting animal encounter number one. And then on takeoff, interesting encounter number two is, as the plane was taking off, a cat ran up the aisle to the front of the plane. It was so bizarre to me in the moment. I was like, surely I did not see a cat run to the front of the plane. I must be dreaming. It must be because of all of this travel. But yes, that's what it was. It was verified, because as we were taking off, the flight attendant that was strapped into their jump seat got on the microphone and said, "Hey, if you are missing a cat, we have it up here with us because we grabbed it as it was running forward in the plane." In the plane. On takeoff. I don't know if the person got in trouble or what the outcome was, but once we got to cruising altitude, they made the announcement again that we have your cat, and if you could please ring the button, we would bring your cat back to you. Why is the cat loose? If you're traveling with animals, shouldn't they be in some sort of carrier or something? That's bizarre. That's ludicrous. Shout out, Luda. Have you ever had an animal encounter on an airplane or in the airport? Leave a comment below. That's the cruise news and my views for your face. Time for you to sound off in the comments below. Thank you for checking out the show today. Show your support by hitting the like button. This is Tony for La Lido Loca. Check this video out next. And until the next time, we'll see you on the Lido. Bye.